Bonjour, bienvenue, je m'appelle Madame Metzger. And today in this video, we are working with LAVN, Level 1, Chapter 9, First Étape. And this is the first time we are beginning to learn the passé composé, very important tense to talk about actions that happened and ended in the past. So we can finally talk about what happened yesterday, last week, over the weekend, last summer, etc., instead of always talking about what's happening right now, present tense. So my students should have a packet and they are filling out their guided notes. Please pause this video as needed and rewind it if you want to hear something again. That's the beauty of having this on a video. You can also, after I'm done, I've got some links here, but I don't know if they work on a video. So if you just put in Le Passé Composé in YouTube, you will get lots of different teachers explaining this, lots of songs, all kinds of resources are right there at your fingertips. So let's begin our notes. Here we go. So again, this is called Le Passé Composé. I often shorten this to just passé. So the first thing, when do we use this? We use the passé or le passé composé if something began and ended in the past. A completed one-time action. Now, we actually, again, have 3 different ways to do this in the English language. Just like present tense has 3 different ways in English, the passé composé has 3 different ways in English. And lucky for you, there's only one way to do this in French. Thank goodness, again, right? You don't have to learn the 3 different ways, only one way to do it. So in English, I can say I ate, I did eat, and I have eaten. I ate breakfast at 11 o'clock. You didn't eat breakfast this morning? No, I did eat breakfast at 11 o'clock. You need to eat. I have eaten. All of those express an action that began and ended in the past in English. Lucky for you, there is only one way to say this in French. And it's one of the ways that we do it in English. In English, we can use that verb to have as a helping verb and then a past participle, eaten. This is the only way to do it in French. We use a helping verb, typically to have. Sometimes we actually use the verb être as our helping verb, but that's much later that we're going to be concentrating on that. Most of our verbs use the verb to have as our helping verb, and then we have this past participle. So, j'ai mangé. Let's talk more about this. So, it is a 2-step process since we have a helping verb and a past participle. Step 1 for the majority of our verbs is conjugating avoir, pour la possession. J'ai, tu as, il a, nous avons, vous avez, ils ont, elles ont, avoir. I hope you've got that memorized because that's 50% of the passé composé. So you're 50% done if you've got that memorized. Good job. The second part is adding in that past participle. Now, what is the past participle? Well, we're going to memorize this. So, most of our verbs in this section, chapter 9, are ER verbs. And all ER verbs are going to do the same thing. We're going to take the ER off the infinitive and we're going to put on an accent aigu. On va enlever le ER de l'infinitif et on va ajouter accent aigu. So the only thing that's going to change is the helping verb. The avoir is going to conjugate, but the past participle is the same no matter what the subject is. Let's see what this looks like for our verb parler, to speak. J'ai parlé. Make sure you're pronouncing that accent aigu. It's an A sound. J'ai parlé. That's the only way to do it in French. But what does that mean in English? I spoke, I have spoken, I did speak. Tu as parlé. Il a parlé. Nous avons parlé. Vous avez parlé. Ils ont parlé. Elles ont parlé. So as you can see, the pink helping verb avoir conjugates and changes with the subject. The past participle does not change. Once you've changed it into the past participle, you've taken the er off the infinitive of parler, and then you put an accent aigu on there. It remains the same no matter what the subject is. That's the past participle. It's the same in English. Okay. What about IR verbs? What do we do for them? Well, just like ER verbs, we're going to take the IR off the infinitive, and then we're going to put an I on. Now you might be saying, why don't you just say take off the R, madame? Because all of our regular verbs have a pattern. We take the last two letters off and we put a letter on. So just to stay with the pattern, we say it this way. Take the IR off the infinitive. Enlève, IR. Ensuite, next, ajoute, add, I. Par exemple, j'ai dormi. I have conjugated avoir. I have taken the IR off dormir, and I put an I back on. This means I slept. J'ai dormi. Répétez, j'ai dormi. Tu as dormi. Il a dormi. Elle a dormi. Nous avons dormi. Vous avez dormi. Ils ont dormi. Elles ont dormi. We've conjugated dormir in the passé composé. Hey, what if you want to say, I didn't sleep? C'était épouvantable. I didn't sleep. Where does the ne pas go? Well, if you remember, the ne pas always goes around the conjugated verb. That should tell you where it goes. Which part is conjugated? That helping verb, avoir. So the ne pas will always go around the helping verb, the conjugated verb. So to say, I didn't sleep, je n'ai pas dormi. Je n'ai pas dormi. Ne pas around that helping verb. Voila. We have one last group of regular verbs. We haven't learned how to conjugate them in the present tense yet, but we will soon. So they are RE verbs, and they too follow a very easy pattern, just like ER and IR verbs. D'abord, enlève, RE. First, remove, take off the RE. Ensuite, ajoute, E. Next, not U. Get your chin out to pronounce that U. U. Ensuite, ajoute U. Next, add your U. Voila. Participe passé. You've got your past participle. Again, we're going to conjugate avoir as our helping verb, and then we're going to do this to our past participles. One verb that is an RE verb that we're going to learn really soon is répondre, which means to answer or respond. So we're going to take the RE off, répondre, and we're going to put a U on there. And of course, we're going to conjugate our helping verb avoir. So j'ai répondu means I answered or I responded. Répétez, j'ai répondu. Tu as répondu? Did you answer? Did you respond? Il a répondu. Are you repeating? Elle a répondu. Nous avons répondu. Vous avez répondu. Ils ont répondu. Elles ont répondu. Très bien. What if we want to say that somebody didn't answer? What do we do? That's right. We need a ne pas sandwich. Where does it go? Around the conjugated helping verb. Let's take a look. I didn't answer. Je n'ai pas répondu. Bravo. Last but not least, what about all the verbs that are not regular? They are not an ER verb. They're not an IR verb, and they're not an RE verb. An RE verb. How do we conjugate them? Each one of our irregular verbs has a past participle that you must memorize. Let's take a look at the ones we use the most often, or at least a little group to get us started. So we have faire, which means to do or make, and its past participle is fait. So if I want to say I did my homework, j'ai fait mes devoirs. Next, we have prendre, which we know means to have food or drink or meals. Its irregular past participle is pris. Don't pronounce the S. Pris. So if I want to say I had bread for breakfast, j'ai pris du pain au petit déjeuner. Or, this also means to take. If I want to say I took the bus this morning, j'ai pris le bus. Excellent. Voir means to see. And if I want to say that I saw a movie over the weekend, I can say j'ai vu un film le weekend. Lire means to read. So if I want to say I read over the weekend, I would say j'ai lu. Remember, I'm conjugating avoir. That's the A, j'ai. J'ai lu ce weekend. Très bien. I did the housework. J'ai fait le ménage. Did you have coffee? Tu as pris un café? We saw a movie. Nous avons vu un film. They read a book. Ils ont lu un livre. Bravo. We have lots of ER verbs that we know how to conjugate. I want to remind you of all these ER verbs that we've learned in French 1. Aimer, if you're talking about a thing, aimer means to like. If you're talking about a person, aimer means to love. So, j'aime le chocolat. I like chocolate. J'aime David. David's my husband. I love David. Voilà. Préférer, adorer, voyager, écouter, like écouter de la musique, étudier, nager, parler, regarder. We learned that with regarder la télévision. Trouver, jouer, donner. We learned this with donner à manger aux chiens, donner à manger aux chats, to feed the animals, but it literally means to give the animals food. Apporter, to bring. Manger, to eat. Débarrasser, we learned this with our chore, débarrasser la table. Garder is to keep, also can be to watch over, like garder mon petit frère. Laver is to wash. We learned this with laver la voiture, to wash the car. Passé is used so many different ways. We learned it with passer un examen, to take a test, but also passer l'aspirateur, to vacuum. Promener, to walk. We learned this with promener le chien. Ranger, to pick up or arrange things, like ranger ta chambre. IR verbs, we know sortir, to go out, and dormir, to sleep. So those we know how to put into the past tense now too. In our new section, chapter 9, first etap, we have some new ER verbs that we're working on, like chercher, to look for. J'ai cherché mes chaussures. I looked for my shoes. Say that one fast 10 times. Commencer, to begin. Dîner, to have dinner. Gagner, to win. Montrer, to show. Passé is in passé un entero. Raté is in raté un examen or raté un bus. Répéter, to practice, it also can be to repeat. And retrouver, to re-find or to meet up with. All this vocabulary is in your Chapter 9 First Atop packet. But I wanted to show you that we started learning these in the je passé composé form as expressions. All right, we're not going to do that. And this concludes our first lesson on the passé composé. I hope it made sense. We're going to be practicing the composé all semester, so this is not going to go away. If it doesn't make sense to you, watch the video again and see if it does until it clicks. Sometimes you just need to hear it over and over again until it clicks. All right, a bientôt.